Hey Mo, we're here. The doctor is in.
Yes, yes, the doctor is in, the current doctor and the future doctors.
Yeah.
I love this show because we are talking to our interns. Ricky, tell everybody who's unfamiliar with this program because this is your brainchild. It really is. And I remember when we started Touch and you were like, you know what, we got to get these interns. We got to start educating. We got to do something. How has this evolved?
Well, I gotta bring my girl Haley into this. We actually had this idea, gosh, hell, 3 years ago. So
Yeah.
Haley Dinnerman, the executive director of the Triple Negative Breast Cancer Foundation, and I'm triple negative, so she and I are attached at the hip, and we actually brainstormed this idea 3 years ago. We did a program at Spelman and at Bowie State, and we just feel like young women are our future. And we heard so much information, so many young women talking about not knowing about breast health. And so we figured out the way we're going to really enter and start these conversations is to engage these brilliant, amazing HBCU women. And so the program's evolved. And so now these are all pre-med women, pre-health careers, and they are phenomenal women. And our program is really a social media campaign because that's how we reach these kids. These kids are doing TikToks of how to do a self-exam. I don't even know how to do TikTok, but they are basically, they work for us for 10 weeks and they come in and they do a poll among their peers to see what people know. And what they learn pretty quickly is that nobody knows a lot about breast health. And because we're not talking about it at home, I always say the conversations we're not having are killing us. And then for 10 weeks, they post on Instagram and TikTok and really all of their outlets, and they're going to talk to you about all the stuff that they're doing. And we give them information and facts about breast cancer and triple negative and clinical trials. And then they turn it into a message that's relevant and will resonate with their peers. So they've been with us for 10 weeks. Working and making videos with their moms and making videos with their friends and posting on social media and posting on our social media. And we're just so proud of them and so happy to do this and partner with Haley, the Triple Negative Breast Cancer Foundation. And we should let them introduce themselves because you're going to be blown away by what they're going to tell you.
Absolutely. And if at all possible, if somebody can pull it up, we would love to see some examples of it too. It would be amazing if we can do a share screen on this. So, but let's introduce our interns.
Yeah. So Taylor.
So, hello everyone. My name is Taylor McKay. I'm a rising senior at the Florida Agricultural Mechanical University, majoring in biology pre-medicine.
All right. Sydney.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sydney Pirro. I'm a rising sophomore psychology major at Howard University, and I'm from Alpharetta, Georgia. So, hello.
You
know.
Brittany.
Hello, my name is Brittany Starks. I am a graduating senior nursing major from the Prairie View A&M University.
All right, and Jalen.
Hey everyone, my name is Jalen Maldonado. I'm a rising junior at Spelman College psychology major with a concentration in neuroscience, and I'm from New Orleans.
Wow, right?
Yep, all brilliant.
And beautiful inside and out.
Fantastic. Wow. Well, let's talk about this experience because 10 weeks goes by really quickly, doesn't it? You learn in college that a semester or that 10 weeks is just, it flies by. So how's it been for you guys? How's the experience been?
What's your biggest takeaway? Who wants to go first?
So
okay,
for me, the whole, like you said, 10 weeks, it definitely flew by and it was very eye-opening all the way start to finish. And I would just say my biggest takeaway was just realizing how much breast cancer really does affect Black women in comparison to everybody else, and just how much more research just still needs to be done, and just the work that is still growing and needs to continue. So that was my biggest takeaway, just learning more and just educating myself throughout the entire process.
Wow.
I completely agree with Sydney. Just learning about Miss Ricky and Miss Valerie during our meetings did a wonderful job at teaching us about the humongous disparity and problems that we have between breast cancer and Black women. And so learning about that, that's not something that ever, came to my mind at first. So learning about the issue and as a Black woman, how important it is for me, as well as the other women that I not only go to school with, but all the many Black women I encounter day to day. And so I just thought that was the biggest takeaway so far.
The biggest takeaway for me has just been learning that as a young African American woman, breast cancer can affect me also. You always think that it's only something that can happen to older women, but it's happening to young women like me every day. And just making sure that my peers know that, because through this program, I found out that a lot of my peers didn't know that or know how to do their own breast exam or know where to go to get checked or anything like that. So that was amazing to find out, really.
My biggest takeaway was really meeting Ari, because meeting someone who got breast cancer in their 20s and me turning 21 this year, I was like, yeah, this could happen to me. And I wasn't even worried about it. I was like, nothing can happen to these little tatas, like nothing. And she made me realize that it could. So yeah, that was my biggest takeaway.
And Ari, Ariana is our actually
Mhm.
kind of our queen of interns. She's been on the show a couple times, but she got triple negative at 19.
Yeah.
We had no evidence of disease, did the treatment, and it came back at 20. And she completed her treatment in January and just graduated from college and just got her her certificate to be a radiation therapist.
That's right. That's right.
Proud of our Ari, but yeah, she's an
Mhm.
example of what we're up against, right? And
Yeah.
blessings to her that she's doing well and pray for every day. But it's not something that you guys can ignore. And we're glad, that I'm sorry that she got sick, but she's an amazing example of what you can do and turn it around and now be treating women with breast cancer in her job.
Yeah.
So,
It definitely gives you a life of purpose, Ricky. And I guess for the interns, how has this solidified or helped you to craft what you think your career might want to be? Has it impacted you in that way as you think about what you want to do with your professions and in your majors?
I think it's definitely impacted what I think about when I see myself in my future career. So I want to be a psychiatrist. And so now I have a big interest in working with like young women, people of color, around Ari's age, my age, Sydney's age, and I know that the impact of just having breast cancer and the whole journey is a lot. So working with, these populations and making sure not only that our Black women getting the physical health that they need for their breast cancer, but also the mental health, because I know it's a strain.
You're absolutely right. Psycho-oncology right now is a huge field because I think that from the medical perspective, we focus so much on the treatment, right? We want to have more precision medicine. We want our surgeries to be better. We want to hide the scars. We want to, do better reconstruction. But nobody talks about the psychological impact of having cancer. It's always an afterthought. Like, oh, okay, after you get over that, well, now, like, how do you pick up the pieces of your life? And I think there's a way that we can incorporate that early and throughout a woman's cancer journey, so that it doesn't end up just being at the end of things when she's feeling like a bomb just went off in her life. And now you got to pick up the pieces. Like, I think we can equip women a little bit better along the way. So that's a huge and an incredible field.
And I think that, what do you call it? Psycho-oncology, Mo?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, now I think so many doctors are recommending, mental health things to go along with your treatment. And it's critical. And just the impact of cancer on every aspect of your life and your family's lives, the whole family gets cancer. So it's so critically to feel, mentally stable as you go through this, because every day is a challenge, every day for the rest of your life, even when you don't have it anymore.
We've seen it even more during the pandemic. We've had so many people reach out to us who could have benefited from the type of work that you're looking to do in your career. And I think that it's just, it can't be overstated how important that is as an element to treatment. So we're so excited that you recognize that through this program.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Anybody else?
So this definitely solidified what I wanted to do. I always said I wanted to be a surgeon. So once I started looking into breast cancer, I didn't know breast surgical oncology was a thing. And now I can get away from it. And I think that's what I want to do. I know I have a long time to actually decide, but right now that's where my heart's at. So yeah.
Okay, so when you're coming up, you got to come up and come shadow.
Yeah, you gotta go visit Mo.
Let's do it. That's it.
Let me know.
Absolutely. You can all come up and we can do some psycho-oncology. You can do some yoga and meditation. We have a whole retreat up here. Absolutely.
We can do that. We can do that.
I agree with Taylor. I always knew I wanted to go into nursing, just not exactly what I wanted to do in nursing. But right now I'm also doing an internship at MD Anderson, so I'm working with all types of cancer patients, and I feel a connection with cancer patients. Like you said, Ricky, this is a family thing, and it just really gave me a passion to be able to care for them. It really did. So I think that's what I want to go into when I graduate.
Yay, you will. Yeah, awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, I'm on the same page with Jalen because I want to be a psychologist. That's my career goal. Yep. So just like knowing there's definitely a need and people to cater to within this whole realm of breast cancer, and just being as a Black woman is so important to have representation and be able to talk to people who look like you. And so this is definitely something I would see myself going into.
Great. And you know, mental health has such a stigma in our community. And I think now, I actually think COVID's helped a little bit with that as well, in terms of opening up some channels and saying, you know, taking away some of the shame and fear about it. So I think you guys' generation is going to have a whole different perspective on mental health than our generation. Like, we didn't talk about it, and you know, it was
I
something
think you're right.
under the table. But you guys are just so open about, you know, it's like you take a pill for something. It's like the flu. You got to figure out what's wrong with you and do what you got to do, right?
Well, and I think they're not as beholden to some of the traditional ways of thinking, you know. And it was a friend of mine who went to her doctor's appointment with her daughter, and the daughter was like, "Nope, I'm not getting on that scale. I don't feel like doing that to myself today." And she's like, "You mean we can do that?" And the officer was like, "Sure, yeah, you don't have to get on the scale if you don't want to." But every time she would go to that office, she'd get on that scale and feel bad about herself, right? And like, this generation's like, "Nah, we don't want to do that." And it's okay. And it's so liberating. Like, we're learning so much, I think, from Zennials, and I'm not sure what's beyond Zennials, but even through COVID, like how to work remotely, how to sit where you are, how to work at a cafe, how to not be in your 9-to-5 office in your cubicle, and how to get stuff done, right? How to use all this technology. I just think it's incredible.
Mhm.
Yeah. I know.
And on the subject of that, tell me about the technology and about some of the things that you guys did. How did you harness the power of social media to help get some information and get some education across?
For me, I use Instagram as like my main way of spreading information. And I would try and do stories. That way, I don't know, you're always looking at your stories, I feel like, more than just scrolling through, or you'll even pass by. So I just tried to make them as eye-catching as possible so that people would just stop and notice, or try and make them as interactive. So that was my way of just reaching my peers or anyone who follows me.
What was one of your best posts? Like, what worked really well?
I have to think about that. I can see real quick, see the numbers.
And see, but you think that what you did just kind of helped your peers connect?
I would say probably the post I did on how to do a self-breast exam, actually. I would say that one.
Great. How about anybody else? What was your best post?
My best post had to be, it was a TikTok about doing a self-breast exam, but what a mask would feel like as opposed to a cyst or something like that, because a lot of young women, or women in general, don't know the difference, like what it feels like. like, am I feeling something that's a problem? Like, and then it also just included like places they could go just to make sure, just the importance of going to see about it. If you see something, say something. So I think I got a really positive feedback about that video.
Wow.
Great. That's so great.
We're gonna put that video on our Facebook.
Yes.
Okay, good. I want to post it. I'll post it too.
The NBC Foundation too. Make sure you share.
Yeah, we'll share too. Yeah.
I would say my favorite post was one I asked about my followers if they knew anything about triple negative breast cancer, because that's something I didn't know coming into this internship. And so even though the majority did say they weren't knowledgeable about it, which I expected, a lot of them, it wasn't like an overwhelming majority as I thought. So I was really proud of my followers who did know. I was really proud of them and just proud to see that my following has some knowledge about breast health and breast cancer.
That's great, and that's unusual. And you know what? And Jalen, I have to say that may be because you're probably our, you were preceded by a couple of Spelman interns. We've been at Spelman a little bit. Maybe we're making an impact, right?
Oh yes, Jade did a fabulous job. So
Jade
I
did
know.
a fabulous job. Remember Jade? No, no. And I think she laid some groundwork for you, which is great because at Spelman, you need to be talking about. Everybody's talking about triple negative everything. So well, everywhere we need to be talking about it, but you guys are producing a lot of female doctors, right? Who do you think you impacted the most?
So I would say the person I impacted the most, I think, was my grandmother. And it may be because I talked to her every day, all day long. But like, it was because when I first started discussing it, she was telling me like back, in her day, they wouldn't talk about a clinical trial. It was a no. It was always going to be no because they compared it to the syphilis clinical trial. Like it was nothing, not a difference. And then as we were talking yesterday and today, she said she would try one. If that's what she had to do, she would do it.
Wow.
So that, it made me happy that she actually listened to me. And I knew she listened to me, but she actually took it. So
that's powerful.
Yeah.
That is powerful.
That's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome.
Incredible.
It's a hard conversation. Wow. Awesome.
I would say my mother. So every time I make a post or I drafted my stuff in Canva because I'm a visual learner, so I wanted my post to be very visual and engaging. I'd send it to my mom and make sure everything was correct. So she, as I was sending it, she was learning with me and, correcting me. And so as somebody, this is a household who takes mental health seriously because I have anxiety. And so, just making sure that we brought awareness, not just a focus of awareness on mental health, but also breast health, our body health. Being a woman, we can't ignore, our breast health. That's really important, just as important as our mental health. So making sure that was brought up was good. And I can see my mom benefited from it.
That's awesome.
Incredible.
That's awesome. How old's your mom?
She actually turned 44 today, so she's watching. Happy birthday, Mom.
Happy birthday, Mom.
Happy birthday, proud mom. We know you're proud of this person.
Wow.
Same as Jalen, I would also say my mom probably had the biggest impact on my post because she was always the one to like swipe up and be like, oh, I didn't know this, or I don't know, talk about like, oh, this is a good one. And so she definitely had an impact off it. And myself personally, I say I made a pretty big impact on me just because previous to this 10-week period, I had really no idea about anything breast cancer related. So yeah.
Incredible.
I would definitely say my peers and the people that follow me on social media, which are mostly the people I go to school with, because a lot of them just didn't know these things, that it could happen to you so young. So yeah, I would definitely say my peers. They learned a lot. I learned a lot myself too.
That's awesome. Wow. Are any of you guys on Clubhouse yet? Me either, but I got to get you to teach me how to do a TikTok. Can you show me how to do one?
I could try. I'm not the best,
Yeah,
but
we
I
could
could
work.
try.
You know, when we all
Right.
get together, meet up, I'm gonna do my first TikTok, and we're gonna do that breast exam one. So we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out together.
Yeah, we'll learn together for sure.
Wow.
I know I
Wow.
talked about Clubhouse, but I don't know. I don't know who's really engaged in Clubhouse.
It's okay. So let me pick you guys' brains, and let's move beyond the internship even. But like, imagine a world, right? Let's say that, you know, you guys are now the marketing team. You are the folks who are trying to come up with a campaign to educate people about breast cancer or about breast health. Like, how would that campaign go if you were going to target maybe your generation? You guys are 20s, right? 20s, 30s. How would it look? Have you ever seen one? First of all, let's start there. You ever seen a campaign about like breast health or women's health targeted to your generation?
No.
To be honest, the last time I remember seeing like anything like that, it was the early 2000s, and it was like a bunch of popular female artists got together and made a song. I think it was called Stand Up to Cancer or something like that. I don't know if y'all remember it. It was like Rihanna, Miley Cyrus, like all these random celebrities. But that was the last time I saw anything like that. But I thought it was cool because it was everybody I listened to, that type of thing. Like it influenced me, and I was very young.
Yeah.
Do you think having celebrities talk about cancer works? We've had mixed conversations about that.
I feel like it goes both ways because some people are like, well, it's just because it's a celebrity, I'm not going to listen to them. But then there's the other side of the spectrum that they'll do anything a celebrity says, you know? So it can go both ways.
Mm-hmm.
We hear, well, they're rich, they have a lot of money, they don't really have to worry about anything, they have good doctors. So, you know, it doesn't matter that they have cancer, they're going to be fine, you know.
I wonder, because it's not always the case though. Who
Right.
would you say is a celebrity that your generation would maybe listen to?
Okay, can we be honest though? Our generation, if they
Yeah.
don't listen to anybody, they're not going to. Like we're some of the most, we're not hard headed, but if we're in the way, we're going to do it.
Opinionated. Okay.
Yeah. So you kind of, to each person's going to be differently.
Yep.
At least I've learned that with my peers. All of us are so different that it's just hard to find one person who's going to get to them. You can't just find, it's got to be a big group sound like.
I love it.
I agree. It's definitely, I feel like you get more engagement from different groups like of us, like our peers hyping something up or promoting something than Rihanna. Like Rihanna can post something on Instagram about breast health and I'll be like, yeah, that's cool. But if I see a collective at my school or I don't know, TikTok ads or people on social media even targeting, I feel like it draws more attention than celebrities nowadays. I feel like people admire and look up to them, but not necessarily, I don't think they have as much power to like convey our generation as maybe they might have before.
So that's interesting. So you're saying the influencers aren't necessarily the people with the most followers or the people with the most celebrity? Sort of. And they may not be like famous people. They might not be movie stars or rappers or Hollywood people. That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, I would say that.
I feel like it's all about who you are, what you're trying to influence. Like when it comes to music, what you should wear, what you shouldn't wear, those things, maybe we listen to celebrities about. But when it's talking about health or something like that, I wouldn't necessarily listen to Little Baby about that. You know what I'm saying? Like it's definitely all about what they're influencing.
Gotcha.
I think it's also the fact that no one's really tried to either. Like I haven't really seen it.
That'd be interesting, right? That would be something.
Yeah. To see what you would believe, but interesting because you will say, okay, I want that outfit, or I want those shoes, or I'm gonna buy that CD, or you know, that music. But when it comes to health, it's like they don't really know.
Yeah, yeah, or like skincare or something. But what's the product in this and what we're doing? What is it that we want to influence people to do? What do you think? That's a tough one, and you don't have to know all the answer now, but I think as we talk about these campaigns and educating people, is there some action thing that they could do? Maybe
I
breast
feel like,
exams or mammograms, like maybe getting their mammograms, you think?
Or just checking their
right.
and know about it, like what you guys, what you kind of posted about, right? Just kind of knowing about checking your breasts.
I would definitely,
Right.
Your own
Creating like,
advocate. I think being your own advocate and telling people to trust themselves and trust their feelings about their own body, know your body.
Yeah.
And like you said before, if you see something, say something.
I
Right.
love that.
It takes confidence to do that. And I think that when you see that your peers have that confidence and that they've spoken up for themselves and it helped save their lives, then I think more than any celebrity endorsement, that would impact. I know my kids would take that to heart.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Kind of has to be the real deal, right?
Mhm.
For you guys, which is great. Which is great.
Wow.
Great. Which is great. We have a lot of work to do though. Like you see what you were up against. I mean, you see that what people took away from what you did and you responded to your post. And I think, tell me maybe an example of a conversation you may have started with a friend because of this that that may not would have happened, may not have happened if you had done the internship. Kelly,
Uh,
you want to talk, girl?
Um, so I guess I could say a conversation with my best friend. We were sitting in her car and she says, okay, so Taylor, because my best friend's from up north. So she's from Illinois. Two different sides of the world. I'm from the country down south and she's from Illinois. So she's like, you kind of know a little bit about breast cancer because of your internship. So this is what my mother's going through. And she started listening to things and she's like, but she won't go to the doctor because she doesn't believe a doctor will help her. And I said, listen, your mother, and I started showing her my posts and stuff. I said, your mom needs to go in knowing what she's talking about. Don't let them overlook her at all. If she feels like something is wrong, she knows her body better than anybody else, that she needs to go in and tell them that. And she's like, you're right, because I told her, can't nobody tell you something wrong but you. You don't say nothing, it'll get overlooked, dog. And then so I think her mom was going to the doctor like tomorrow or something. So we're gonna see how it plays out. But I told her nobody can tell her nothing's wrong if she knows her body. You've been keeping up with it for 50 years. No one can tell you that.
So she felt a lump or something and wouldn't go until
She was questioning whether it was a lump or anything. And I had showed her Jalen's TikTok.
you showed her
No, it also actually looked like Brittany. And she was like, she was like, I still don't know. And I was like, well, you got a question, just go to the doctor. I mean, they can tell you, they're gonna tell you. So yeah, that was one conversation I think would not have happened if I wasn't going through this internship.
So
That's incredible, because how many people are afraid to go to the doctor? I remember being in college and I was terrified to go to the doctor. It was something I did not want to go to that clinic. I didn't want to, no parts of it. And I was a biology major. But listen to you talking about go to the doctor and nobody knows your body better than you do. And I think that that's so powerful.
powerful, so powerful, so powerful, so cool that you did that. Anybody else? Who do you think you made an impact on?
You want to speak?
go ahead.
So with my friends, all my friends are pretty much pre-med majors as well. They're interested in the health field. And so most of them are out of town being great. And so I know of in the instance, like if one of them were to say, oh, I have a lump on my breast or I feel something in my breast, it would be without a doubt, you need to go see your doctor, or you need to check this out, or you need to go get it checked out. But I know after this internship and educating myself some more, I'd actually be able to like help them. Like I could explain a self breast exam. Have they done that? The importance of doing that. Much more, a deeper, more genuine conversation about their breast health could be had between me and my friends now due to this internship, prior to where I just say, I think you should go to the doctor.
Great.
And for me, it was when I asked one of my roommates if she was even paying attention to my posts because sometimes people just click through your stories and stuff like that. And she was like, "Yeah," and she was like, "I actually knew that fact that you said that Black women were disproportionately affected by breast cancer," and so that made me happy. Like people are actually paying attention, reading my post, learning something from it. So that was all I needed to know I was making a difference.
Great. Great.
Yep, a similar experience to Brittany, just with my close friend having conversations as I would like be making the post on Canva. I was just the different facts about the mortality rates and just the disproportion that Black women experience with breast cancer. I was like, did you know this? Just because I didn't know at first, and so I'm like, just starting that conversation. It was really, like you said, the validation.
Were you surprised that Black women, I think you said earlier, that Black women have these issues with breast cancer? We have a different disease.
I wasn't surprised only because I feel like in all fields of health, we're always disproportionately affected, like mental health, physical health, and it goes with the whole socioeconomic status and
Right.
everything. But it wasn't surprising, but it was still like disheartening to hear.
It's disheartening. Yeah. How can this happen, right? Right? Why is this happening to us?
Yeah, I think we have some work to do as far as the research and the professional pipelines too. When you look at the number of Black doctors or Black scientists, right, who are researchers and who are over clinical trials and who are oncologists and who are surgeons, there's a lot of work that we have to do, I think, to make sure that we can see doctors who look like us and researchers who look like us, who we know are representing us. Like when I think about the coronavirus, the vaccines, seeing that sister who was working, at NIH and developing that vaccine and knowing that we had a seat at that table was really powerful for a lot of Black people to know that, what, we're not on the menu because we're at the table. We're in the design, we're in those laboratories and in those boardrooms. And I think that representation, really matters. And I think for people watching, your representation here, definitely matters because this is something that that they can do too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything that didn't work? Did you any campaigns like something you thought might really, really, do okay, and it was just like, not so much?
Their brainiacs, everything works.
I know. Everything they touch is gold,
I would say sometimes doing polls on my Instagram story, which is a real big social media platform. I think Sydney was saying earlier that a lot of people just kind of tap through it. And if it's not a celebrity posting something, or if it's not a young woman or young man in a cute outfit or something like that, there's a tendency to just tap through sometimes. And so even though I felt like I was reaching people, at times I knew I wasn't reaching everybody because I know that's how it is. I tap through my story sometimes. And so that's the only thing. But I think at the end of the day, it's still important to tackle this issue on social media because what else do young people look at freely than their Instagram or their Twitter or their Snapchat or TikTok?
Wow. Is there one platform you think that's more powerful than another?
I would say Brittany's platform that she was doing, TikTok. I'm a little scared of the videos, but I think TikTok is a time where you actually watch. And so you go on there to watch the videos. The videos are engaging a little bit more than if I just typed out a post on Instagram. And no matter, there's a lot of engagement that you can do and creativity within the TikTok. So I definitely think what Brittany did with doing the TikToks was a great idea.
So let me clarify. I am not creative whatsoever. I did do my own TikTok, but I looked at other creators and reposted their work because they did such a much better job explaining things and being more creative and eye-catching than I did. But their ad names and stuff were in it, so they got the kudos.
That's okay. That's great.
Sounds like you did amazing. I don't know. Sounds like you did a great job of it. So it's all about the videos, huh? The TikTok is where it's at.
Right now, I did.
Yeah, I would
So.
say.
So you guys, you use your platforms. Is there something else you could have done or a different way to communicate to your peers about breast cancer that maybe wasn't on social media? Most of you are on it, but some people are on. Is there something else, other way we could be reaching out to young women to get to them?
I feel like more things. Go ahead.
You can go ahead.
More of like what we're doing right now, even, but obviously with COVID, it makes things hard. But as we progress and become more in person, like more in person gatherings, like anywhere on our campuses, like just to get people in a room and sit down and talk, I think would be a good way to engage.
We did a forum at Spelman 3 years ago, right, Haley? And
It was amazing.
it's amazing. We did it in the Camille Cosby building. I guess it was like the women's studies area, and so it was kind of not a huge room, but we had standing room only. We were flooded with room, maybe because we brought fried chicken, but we brought dinner. But also we like, I think girls were texting their friends saying, "Come over and hear this."
Mhm.
So we realized that's when we said, "Gosh, there's something here," because what we learned too from you guys was that nobody really talked about it with their moms at home. And so and they were asking questions like, should I wear an underwire bra? Should I let my boyfriend touch my breast? Should I, what should I do? And there are things that you probably should be talking to your mamas about, or maybe your older sisters or whatever. But we found that there was a conversation that could happen. So now that COVID is whatever COVID's doing, but maybe we can sort of do that this fall, maybe, and go back and maybe do something on campus with you guys, or have something on campus because we can travel now. But we should talk about that as like what we should do next.
Yeah, Ricky, we've been talking about doing our HBCU tour, taking our conversations on the road and being really candid with young women about it. And I think you're absolutely right. It's definitely time to do that as people are able to meet in person again, because there are so many questions about not even cancer, but you're right, about breast health, about things like deodorant, about, products that we use. There's been a lot of articles in the media about hair products and skincare products and the risk of cancer from those things, and a lot of misinformation that goes around too. So we can definitely do some education.
Yeah, we'll come back, right, Haley? We had a great time in Atlanta. Right now,
We love it.
do it at Howard, do it wherever you guys are, right?
I think it would be a wonderful idea if you all came down and did an in-person event. My freshman year, we did one of the organizations at Spelman did a HIV/AIDS awareness, and so we actually had like testing, and so it was amazing. It was something so scary, like a topic about sexually transmitted disease, which is scary. They made it so easy to kind of go walk in there, go get your finger pricked, get tested. And so I can see the turnout for breast health and breast cancer being amazing, not only at Spelman, but at any HBCU.
Yeah, you think people will show up for it? Because I wonder, do you have to tie it into something else, like a sports event or a concert or something else to make people want to come out to it? You think they'll just come out to a breast event?
Oh, yes. I remember my friends. I was nervous. I mean, I didn't think I had HIV or AIDS, but I was nervous just to go get pricked. And just the whole process of it was scary to me. But I remember my friends were like, come down to Manly and come to the event. And so just the amount of support, not only from the people who were hosting it, but also my friends, it was amazing. So coming out and doing breast health is crucial. I would love to help y'all with setting that up.
I think having the right ambassadors like you would make a huge difference. When Ricky and I did the one at Spelman a few years ago, you remember, Ricky, it was pouring rain. Pouring rain. And we thought, who's going to leave their comfy, cozy dorm rooms to come walk across campus to hear about breast health? But they did. It was packed. And people asked so many questions, just heartfelt questions, and walked away with knowledge. So we would I think it's so important to do this again if you all think it's, you know, something that your peers would be interested in.
Yeah, we actually brought our friend Barbara. So our friend Barbara, her daughter died of triple negative the day before her 29th birthday. And so she talked about, you know, being the mom, you know, watching this happen over 2 years. And when her name is Amber, when Amber first got diagnosed, she went to the doctor. They told her she had triple negative breast cancer, and she didn't really know what it was. She was, you know, 25, like trying to be a big girl. I just left home to go to California, be an actress, and Harper's Barking, of course. And she didn't tell her mom for like 6 months. And she got diagnosed in July. She came home for Thanksgiving and told her mom. And then she really didn't have even start even going through the diagnosis process until January. And, you know, fast forward 2 years, she was dead. So just the young thing is just not good. So, and we have too many stories like that, you know, like Ari, and God, Ari's good, but let's figure it out, Haley, and figure it out. We're gonna figure out, and you guys have to be our like steering committee.
I love it. Yeah, boots on the ground. Yep. Tell us where to go, what buildings, who to recruit. We'll design some flyers and social media campaign for it. And I think that sounds like a really great idea. Are there things that you still want to know, like, you know, stuff you didn't really get to yet, and things that interest you about breast cancer, or stuff that you still are going to maybe look up after this experience?
I think that I'm interested. We were blessed to hear from Miss Ricky and Miss Valerie at our meetings, but hearing from other breast cancer survivors, I'm kind of very interested in hearing about their journey, their experience, their feelings on clinical trials, which I know me and Taylor focused on, and also their what they want to do with their daughters, their grandchildren, as it comes to preventative and early breast health detection and stuff like that. Just hearing their stories and their thoughts is what I would like more to deal with.
Right, hear more stories. I think our stories definitely.
They have power. Absolutely. Our narratives have power for sure.
What are you guys going to do differently because of this internship? Are you going to do anything differently, act differently, do anything differently?
What I'm gonna do differently is just not for myself, but for everyone I know, to make sure they know their her story. So I need them to know the facts about themselves, what their parents have, what their grandparents have, what their great grandparents have, because that goes into that there's a chance that they can have that. So that's something that going forward, I'm gonna make sure.
For me, it would definitely be to go get checked, not just for breast cancer, for everything. Always knowing your status. I think that's so important, because the earlier you find out these things, the easier it can become the fight. So that was my biggest takeaway too. Like, go get checked, know what you have, know what you don't have for everything.
Right. I completely agree with Taylor and Brittany. And along with that, just staying engaged in the conversation and always just being aware of exactly like what's going on. Just so I have a better understanding and so I can start conversations with other people and know what I'm talking about.
And for me, I would say encouraging more dialogue in my family about breast health. We don't talk about it. It's not, I don't think it's intentional, but it's just something that never comes up. So therefore, I wasn't really knowledgeable about breast health or breast cancer. So making sure that when there's like family holidays or family gatherings, maybe ask my grandmothers or my cousins more about breast health, and to learn from them. And as Taylor said, learning her story. So my family's medical history is super important. So taking those steps on my behalf to be very aware about my health.
And you know, it's so interesting sometimes to sit and listen to our loved ones, you know, even if you just say, you know, Nana, you ever had a surgery before? What was that like? What surgery did you have? Or, you know, did you ever have a time when? and you just let them talk and they will tell you some stories. And it can be really interesting and engaging when you talk to your family about their upbringing and what they knew, and make it like a more fun conversation. Because I remember growing up, there was things we didn't talk about. Like, we didn't talk about health and we didn't talk about money, because there were two things. We just didn't have enough insurance. We didn't have enough money. And so you take some castor oil, some Robitussin, and don't get sick. And that was what we knew about health growing up. And then my grandmother got breast cancer. And I watched her, start to go through a withdrawal period where she didn't talk about it, to, later on in her life, as she got into survivorship, she was on the back of a magazine, where they had all the survivors and they were out in the park doing some kind of a fair and educational event. And I watched it like change her and empower her. And you just listening to the stories, of our older folks and our parents and grandparents, while they're still able to tell them, is so amazing. Yeah.
Great. What would you guys tell our next group of interns if you had to be the coach? What would you tell them?
Don't be intimidated by talking to your peers. Because at first I was like, my peers ain't even gonna care about this. Like, what am I posting? Like, because people at FAMU are mean. So I was like, they're not gonna interact with me. And then I did my first poll and I had like 30 people interact. I'm like, okay, we're getting there. And then as we went on, it got better. So that would be my first thing. Don't be intimidated. Do not, just do it. Go out on the limb and see what's gonna happen. You're either gonna get a yes or a no. That's all.
It's a hard thing to talk about, right? Out of the blue, you're on your Instagram talking about breasts, right? And cancer. Like, where'd that come from, right? Where are the pretty pictures of the pose, right? So I hear you.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with Taylor. Just go ahead and share the information, because if we don't, like, who will? And us doing this encourages, like you said, the next group of interns, or maybe not even interns, people who might have saw our post and say, you know what, let me learn more and start sharing information on my own behalf. So definitely just go ahead, and if you feel it in your heart to do so, just share it.
It's much better to say something than to not say something. So you're not doing any harm by putting that post out there. There's nobody being harmed. There's only benefit. So go ahead and do it. It's worth it.
And for me, at first I was really like scared to like post like a picture of like a breast, because I had posted a picture of like nipple discharge and like abnormalities that you would see. And so I was really scared, and I had asked my mom and she's like, no, because that's what your body looks like. They need to know that that's what that looks like. And she was right. Like, you have to tell the truth. It's important to. Don't be embarrassed to post the truth. That's what I would say.
Wow.
It's awesome. You guys are awesome.
And maybe what about some folks who aren't that social media savvy? Some, the older generation. Any advice for them if they want to start getting involved and putting some stuff out there?
To stay open-minded. I think older people have such a big impact. You to speak to your grandchildren, your little, you can speak to your younger siblings, anybody. I'm going to listen to my grandmother. I feel like you're wise. She knows things. So the older generation has so much potential to really change the narrative and help us to raise advocacy about breast health and breast cancer within the Black community. So just for our upcoming interns, just for the older generation, do it. You're going to help tremendously.
I got one more question. Any interest in maybe you guys or others facilitating a little mini internship for some breasties who want to be more social media savvy, and maybe they want to be the interns and learn some things and some tips and some tricks from you? Just throwing it out there.
That'd be cool. I
That'd
love
be really
food.
cool.
So yeah, let's
Yeah.
go.
All right, I'd be interested. I'm down.
I love it. Sign me up.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So
So
you,
Haley, I think our next class of interns might look a little different, huh?
I know, right?
Right.
Maybe a little 4-week program or something.
So like a mini internship to help them.
Yeah.
Let's help them,
Interns can be the faculty now.
right?
Yep.
Right, I know. And we kind of set Ari up to help you guys, was she helpful? Ari's so sweet, but Ari's been their coach and been like really helping you guys kind of go through the process. Like let's give her a shout out. Want to say anything to Ari? She's listening because she's gonna make it happen.
I just want to tell Ari, thank you so much, because I would send her some of my posts and be like, is this right? Because like I would go onto like a website that they knew what they were talking about. I checked the credibility, but I still, from someone firsthand who actually knows, I'd be like, please tell me this is right before I post this on the internet. So thank you.
I like to thank her, Ari, I know you're listening. Thank you for being so welcoming and so open. And when I would mess up or if I did something, not if I just needed help and guidance, Ari was always there with open arms to come speak to me nicely and just to help me redirect me on the right path as to what I should do or what to include. So she was great.
Right.
I'm going to thank Ari because she brought this program to me. I didn't even know about it. And she's like, hey, like, this is a great program. I think you would be great for it. And she wasn't lying. This is an amazing program. I learned so much. And she really encouraged me because I was like, nobody's looking at my post or anything. She's like, no, you're doing a great job. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you because, Ari, I would be sad about a post and you would start like, you go, girl. And I'm like, thank you, because you would make my day. Like, you would make it 10 times better. So, yeah, thank you, Ari.
Love you, Ari.
I would love to see when Ari will watch my post. I'm like, she watched it. It makes me happy.
And congratulations, Ari,
Yeah,
on graduating.
passing her exams, and she's now a radiation therapist. You go, girl. Right?
So proud.
I think she's got more ahead. Mo's working on her to go to med school. So.
Oh yeah, it's gonna happen. It's going down.
More doctors. We need more doctors.
We do, and more therapists, and more nurses, and more researchers, and more surgeons. We need all of you, absolutely, more psychologists. I'm just so inspired, and I hope that people are watching, are looking at their young ones, their high schoolers, their college students, and thinking, you know what, this is something that I want them to see, and this is something that I want them to do or consider, because these opportunities are just amazing for the exposure, and we hope that you guys will definitely stay in touch and stay involved if you have ideas for how we can make the internship better and how we can improve the knowledge in our community. Like you guys are, you're the experts on that. So we look to you.
Yeah, and we thank our partners who've helped us, make this happen for you guys, Gilead and, Jeanette and Bethany, and, all the work that they kind of put into us to give us the resources for you guys. So we appreciate them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what's next on your horizon? Like, what should we be looking to do? Like, what do you like? If you could go to the top of the mountain and shout something out about breast cancer or whatever, what would you do?
I guess one last fact for people who are watching.
Regarding breast cancer, I thought that like how, now that I'm older and I didn't come in here knowing much about breast health, but I read books like Junie B. Jones and stuff like Diary of a Wimpy Kid when I was young. And I thought it would have been amazing to have not only just black main characters within the novels, but maybe bringing in such a social topic and health topics such as breast cancer somewhere within the novels. Those books were really engaging, and if they would have spoken about breast cancer, I know I would have actually been a little bit more knowledgeable about it now, since the books have an impact during your youth. So I definitely think that we should include more topics about not just health, all types of health, mental health, breast health, within these novels for kids, because you're impressionable. Your kids are sponges. So
when do you think people should know about clinical trials? Like, I think when they're sick, it's too late. Like, when should
Um,
we learn about that?
you can get sick at any time. So I think it's important it's just important at any age. There's no wrong age or right age to start teaching. I think as young as you are, it's better the younger you are to be knowledgeable about clinical trials rather than later. So it's something that you should develop knowledge about over the course of time, not just when you're an adult and then you have to learn about it, or right when you're sick, you must learn about it.
Did anybody have resistance to that conversation like Taylor did with her grandmother about clinical trials? Did you have any obstacles about that when you talked about it?
Same thing for my grandmother. I think it took a little bit more convincing. She's very skeptical about that, but just the older generation, just mostly my grandmother was skeptical about clinical trials, and I can completely understand. But I do think that it's something as she, progresses in her journey of age, she gets older, she may get sick, and so I do think she should look into clinical trials if that, God forbid, that ever happens. But my grandmother was the only one that she wasn't. It wasn't an outright no, but just very skeptical and hesitant about it.
Actually, I learned young people are just as skeptical because that was actually one of my questions. And so the answers were like, oh, I'm not going to have enough money for a clinical trial. Or they going to do me like they did the people in Tuskegee. And I'm like, no. And like, I didn't think it would be a problem for someone my age because we're so open-minded. So then that's when I started understanding what I needed to post about. I need to get them to understand like financial insurance because they're going to give you the standard of care. They're going to do that. And then the ski thing, I had to let them know like times have changed a lot. We got ways to go, but we're better than that. So yeah, I learned it was young people too who are worried about clinical trials and the problems that comes with them.
I completely agree with Taylor. I think a lot of my posts were centered about knowing that young people were skeptical. I also centered it around like informing them about clinical trials, but making sure that we made sure it wasn't scary. Like it's not as scary as you think you are. So including facts that provided some comfort, like they go through an extensive process, researchers, before they allow you to even take this drug or even think about taking this drug. So making sure to include information that demystifies and also makes the entire topic less scary to talk about was important for young people, because Taylor's completely right. Young people are just as opposed to it as older people.
Yeah. Wow.
Interesting, because they don't understand.
And not just for clinical trials, but I mean, even for things like COVID, right? How many of us still know people who are not taking that vaccine? They're not doing it. You know, they're waiting to see what's going to happen. It happened too quick. It came about. Nope, they're not experimenting on me. I see it every single day in the hospitals. And, you know, it really messed up. COVID messed up a lot of things for our community in terms of delaying the screening, right? Because I'm seeing patients now who didn't get their screening, you know, 3 months ago, 6 months ago when they needed it. And everything is sort of trickling down. And it makes it really challenging. The cancers are more advanced. And so if there's one message that I would like to get out there, it's that people need to return to their screening. And if you feel something, you bypass screening. You go right to diagnostics. You don't go screen and fish and look for stuff. We're going to find whatever that thing is that you have a symptom of. And that's something that people should know, is that diagnostic imaging needs to happen at any time. You don't have to wait. I don't care what's going on in the world. If COVID comes back around again, you got a lump, go see a doctor.
Yeah, and fight for yourself. If the doctor dismisses you and says, "Oh, you're too young," say, "Go to another doctor," or say, "If you can't handle me, go to another doctor." And you know, that's how really Haley started the foundation for Triple Negative from her friend that got dismissed by a doctor. Right, Hale?
Yep.
Yeah.
They said she was too young.
For these lovelies. Haley, have any words of wisdom for these lovelies?
I'm so in awe of them. I mean, I'm in awe of what you've done, of what you've learned, of what you've taught us about the communities that you've reached, the information you were able to get. And I'm just in awe of the entire program. The thought that each one of you has impacted so many other people, even if you're talking about your mother or your grandmother, they're in touch with other women who they're teaching as well. So I mean, the impact that you're having, even in people that might not have related to some of your posts when you posted them, but months from now, they might feel something, or they might have a conversation with a friend or a family member that feels something, and they'll recall those posts, and they'll be able to come back to you and ask questions and get information. And to me, this is just, it's such a win-win, this program, and I'm just so grateful that you took part in it, and just so proud of all of you for everything, you know, you accomplished and that you taught us.
Wow. Same thing here. I am so proud of you guys. I hope to engage with you more. Even, you know, now that the internship is over, let's come out with a part 2. Let's see, where do you want to take this next? What else can we do? Because there's so much. There really is so much need and so much opportunity for you to have impact. So it doesn't have to stop here by any means. And if you need anything at all, we are here for you and we support you. And we're just grateful that you guys took time out of your busy lives to come and do some education and do some breast health and things with us. So we love you guys and we're just so proud of you.
So proud of you. And we'll figure out to do some visits.
Yep.
We'll try to work on that.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Thank you to our supporters and sponsors. Thank you, Gilead. And we so appreciate you guys, and stay well and healthy, and keep talking about breast cancer. Keep taking care of yourselves. Keep talking to your mamas and your sisters and your aunties and your girlfriends, and we're gonna get everybody healthy.
That's it. And get them educated. Ricky, who's on next week? What are we doing next week?
Oh my gosh, we have next week we're talking about palliative care.
Yeah. Other end of the spectrum. Absolutely. But a very important conversation. So do join us for that. And, you know, we hope that this has been relatable, reliable, and real. That's what we set out to do every single Wednesday night here on blackdoctor.org. And so we thank everybody, our sponsors, our interns. Haley, I'm so glad to see you. I can't wait to hug your face. And we hope you join us again next Wednesday night, because the doctor's in.
Doctor's in. Breast love. Thanks, you guys.
Rusty love. See you guys.